So, things are just getting spicier when it comes to the Montreal Canadiens and the New York Rangers. You see, earlier yesterday, we made a video talking about Habs Vice President Jeff Gorton and his level of genius as the GM of the Boston Bruins 2 decades ago. He ended up going over to New York. He was over there for a while. He ended up building that team to a spot that I think a lot of Rangers fans were happy with. But then he got the can, and now he's in Montreal. Now, with all the extended trade rumors talking about New York Rangers players, such as Artemi Panarin, and even Alexis Lafreniere, there have naturally been conversations as to whether or not the Montreal Canadiens could get involved and potentially make a deal. Well, turns out we know the truth. Take a look at this article posted on tvasports.ca. It'll be linked in the description. It was published earlier yesterday afternoon. Here's the truth on a Montreal Canadiens and New York Rangers deal. I don't know if it'll ever happen. Let's scroll down and read this. To those who dream of a trade sending Artemi Panarin or Alexis Lafreniere to Montreal, Renaud Lavoie brought an important caveat. During his segment on the Daily JIC show on Friday, the TVA Sports hockey reporter pointed out that there have been no trades taken place between the Canadiens and the Rangers since Jeff Gorton became vice president of hockey ops for the Habs, and since Chris Drury became GM of New York City. Of course. I don't know if there will ever be one, as long as Drury and Gorton are there in their respective clubs, Lavoie added. We know that Jeff Gorton was fired by the Rangers for unclear reasons in May 2021. He was replaced by, you guessed it, Drury. According to Raphael Lavoie, the Canadiens still have a duty to monitor a situation involving such an important player as Artemi Panarin. He has also been linked to the Florida Panthers for some time. As for Alexis Lafreniere, his $7.45 million AAV contract till 2032 may put people off, according to what Lavoie said. However, a change of scenery could be beneficial for the Quebec native, and the contract makes sense within the Canadian salary structure, Lavoie pointed out, and his age makes sense. He is part of the core group. Nevertheless, at the risk of repeating ourselves, it would then be necessary to negotiate with Drury. Is Drury going to do the Canadiens any favors? Part of me says no, Lavoie concluded. And so with that in mind, I did think that it was important to acknowledge where the Canadiens lie in this entire situation here, because we have made a few videos talking about the Rangers. We've spoken about their statement, the trade updates, and how Artemi Panarin is already going to be put on the market. He's not going to sign an extension, not because he may not want to, but because the Rangers are not going to give him one. The fact that that's already been confirmed by the New York Rangers themselves, and Elliot Friedman had an article about it, spells the end of the Panarin era in New York. Now, you can have an entire other conversation as to why things got this bad. There's a conversation to have as to whether or not JT Miller was a part of it too. But I say that partially in jest and partially being truthful, because drama seems to follow that guy wherever he goes. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. We can make another video about JT Miller if y'all want to. But Artemi Panarin, it's already been discussed that he does not want to take a pay decrease from what he is at right now. He's 34 years old, but he still wants a long-term deal. He's making $11.6, but he doesn't want to give a discount on his next contract. He's really good, on pace for 88 points this season on a bad New York Rangers team. So if there's anybody you could reasonably give long-term and money to, I'd say Panarin is a decent bet. Sure, you question as to whether or not the contract will age well into his later years when he's 40 years old, for example, but for a guy who literally has been one of the best players in the National Hockey League the last decade, you give him the benefit of the doubt. It's Artemi Panarin, of course. Now, whether or not that means the Montreal Canadiens would be interested in this kind of a guy is a totally other scenario. We've seen the Habs have their fair share of older Russian guys in the past, the Radulovs, the Kovalchuks, heck, even young Russians right now. Nikita Sherbak was on the team for a while, Ivan Demidov is doing some pretty good things right now, and then Andrei Markov was a legend of yesteryear for Montreal. So there's a good Russian foundation of history with the Habs. Whether or not Artemi Panarin fits into what the Montreal Canadiens are trying to build nowadays is a separate question, though. I mean, the idea of Panarin mentoring an Ivan Demidov sounds like a really good thought in my mind, but I just kind of question how the lines would look after that. Maybe if you force Demidov over to center and you have Panarin and Slafkovsky on a second line, that opens the door for some fantastic offensive opportunities. No disrespect to Oliver Kapanen, but sure no Artemi Panarin. Heck, even having Panarin on the top line with Suzuki and Caulfield moving Texier down to the bottom six certainly would be an option here as well, although I question whether or not you'd want to have three right-handed guys all on the same line, Suzuki, Caulfield, and Panarin, but hey, if you have offensive minds like those guys, I think anything would fit if you just work it out properly. Meanwhile, you talk about Alexis Lafreniere. This is a player whose age aligns a lot more than Artemi Panarin. He's only 24, Panarin's 34, but Lafreniere is really not that great considering the status as a first overall pick, the contract that he has, and the reputation that he has built for himself. Lafreniere is making $7.45 till the end of 2032, and this season he's got 26 points in 48 games played, on pace for 44 points on the season. That's not bad. I mean, a 44-point season out of anybody is decent, but for $7.4 million a year, even with the idea that he's going to continue to progress and get better, and there's this hometown connection with Montreal, there's just too much of a risk with that contract. Now, whether or not the hometown element does bring Lafreniere a lot more prosperity than we're used to seeing, maybe if he's able to take advantage of that and improve his game in the same way that Texier did, it could raise the bar quite a lot. But at $7.4 million, it's a big risk to take, especially if you're banking on a guy like Lafreniere to become that player. Texier, it was a buy low, high ceiling opportunity. If he didn't end up becoming anything, it was fine. Like, the Canadiens just signed him to a deal. Lafreniere, you'd have to make a trade. But then again, it's like, hey, based off of the article, it doesn't seem like trades are even an option here, based off of the history between Drury and Gorton. But at the end of the day, this is just a conversation about potential, whether or not a move could happen. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, whether or not you agree or disagree with Renaud Lavoie's assessment here, that the Rangers and the Canadiens will most likely never get a deal done as long as these guys are in their respective clubs. Is the beef that tender? Are we not going to see any sort of a move? Does that totally extinguish the possibility of a Lafreniere or an Artemi Panarin trade over to the Montreal Canadiens? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How would you feel if the Habs acquired either of these players? What do you think the trade price could or should be? And do you think there's a possibility anything like this is able to get done? Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.